Great. Hey guys, so today we are going to take a look at Sofia's question editor, and Jonathan is going to walk us through editing an existing question and then also creating some multiple choice and variable questions. Jonathan?
Hi. So to edit a question, you first have to make sure the question is in the assignment part on the right of the question bank here. So to move a question that you want to edit from this side to that side, you would just click here and then click this arrow, and that would add it right here. Then you can just highlight it here and then click edit. And that will open the authoring interface. Here under describe question, you'll see the title of the question and some other information about it. You can click preview question and see what the question looks like currently. Then to edit it, you would click edit question, and that will pull up the code for the question. You can see the questions and answer field has the question text here, and then the answer inside of these boxes. And then there's some step-by-step solutions down here, a hint, variables that randomize the question. But to edit the question, you could add some additional instructions up here just by typing it. So you could type in refer to chapter 6, section 3, for example, to give your students a specific place in the textbook to look to when doing this question. And then you can see if you go to preview question, it'll add that text right here because that was in the top instruction field. You could also make changes within the question itself. So for example, if you wanted it to be in euros instead of dollars, you could just change every instant of dollars to euros. And then go back to the question. And you can see it's now in euros instead of dollars. So any small wording changes like that can be done pretty easily by just finding the words inside of the code and then changing it to what you want. If you wanted to change the variables that determine the numbers that are in there, like perhaps you wanted to limit these to specific numbers, you could do that just by adding these directly. And there's an instruction manual up here that you can pull up that will describe in depth how to go through each type of variable and other information like that. So that's the basics of editing a question. When you're done, you can hit save and close. And then you'll find it's changed the number here to 32. That's my specific number for that custom template. To access custom templates, if you wanted to use them for different assignments, you can go to bank and then select custom template. And it'll load up all the questions that you've edited in the past and saved here. To make a question from scratch, you would just click create question. It would pull up the same authoring interface as before. You can give the question a title so it's easy to find it later if you want to use it for other assignments. If you click preview question right now, it'll just pull up a blank canvas that'll say no input boxes found. So the first thing to do when making a new question would be to choose the answer type. So for this one, we'll select multiple choice. Then you can go to edit question. And you have the instructions here, the question here, and then the actual multiple choice goes in these boxes. So for example, you could write the instruction and classify the triangle by its sides. And then you could put in the question field a triangle with sides of length 7 centimeters, 7 centimeters, and 9 centimeters. And then, of course, that would be isosceles, so you could put that as the correct answer. And then if you wanted, you can choose the number of distractors by going here. So I'll do 2 distractors in this example and put equilateral and scaling. And then you can go to preview question. And you'll see the instruction outline I put here, the actual question information here, and then the 3 choices, which are randomized in order. Isosceles was the one at the top in the code, but now it's down here. You click check answer correct. If I pick another one, it'll say try again. You can also display the choices side by side, which you can do depending on what the choices look like. You can see in this case, there's 3 choices, so it doesn't really make sense to put them into 2 columns. So that's a basic multiple choice question. I'll go ahead and save this one and close it. And now you can see it's right here. Then I'll create another question. And give this one a title. And then pick another answer type. And this time we'll do numeric response. And then you can type in the instruction, find the sum, question 83.2 plus 90. And then the answer would be 173.2. You can just click preview question. You have the instruction line here, the question part here, and then the answer here. Like that. You can also randomize questions using the use of variables by changing this from simple to either vertical or horizontal. We'll do vertical. So now you can turn on variables. And so, for example, if I wanted an integer from 30 to 90, I can do this, and it will pick an integer from 30 to 90 going in units of 1. I might want it to be only units of 10, so it's only 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. I can do that here. Again, the exact notations for these things are laid out in the instruction manual that you can find by clicking here. So that now that I have this variable v0, anytime I want this to appear in the question, I can just type in v0 like this. And then I can do a similar thing with the other number. I can do a 1 decimal place number ranging from 15.1 to 15.9, going in units of 0.1, like that. And then I can replace this with v1. And then I can just write a variable that sums up these 2 numbers, v1 plus v0, like that. And then I can put that as the answer here. And now when I preview the question, in this case it's 75.9, but if I reload the question, the numbers will be different. So that's useful if you want students to be able to try a question multiple times and have different numbers each time, and of course to prevent students from copying off of each other. We can also do multi-part answers, which require some HTML coding, so they're a little more complicated. But I'll go ahead and show an example here. In this case, to just make the same question we had before, we can just use this box tag and then type in the correct answer and then close the box tag like this. And that'll create it all on one line like this. And the answer is still just the sum like that. This also lets you do more than one thing per question. So you could find the sum and find the difference. To create a line break so that they appear on different lines, you use a break tag like this. So anything I put below this break tag will appear on a new line. I can then just change this to v0 minus v1 and write a new variable v3 that is just v0 minus v1. And now you can see we have two different boxes for the student to insert answers with. And if they get one of the boxes wrong, it says try again. So that's the basics of doing a multi-part question. You can also do drop downs that will have multiple possible answers. So for example, if you want to test whether the student can tell the difference between the sum and the difference, then you could do this. So this is the correct answer, and then this is a distractor, and each other choice can also be entered as distractors. Like that. So this has the correct answer V2 and then the 3 distractors. If you get a preview question, it creates a drop down like this where they have to just select the correct answer. You probably won't want to use this for numbers like this, but for completing sentences and things like that, that's usually the way to go. So we can create another new question. And this time we can look at multiple selection questions are like multiple choice, but you can select multiples of the answers. So you see here, you can check which ones are the correct answers. So you can classify the triangle. A triangle with side lengths of 7 inches. Okay, let's do 3 inches, 4 inches, and 5 inches. And then you can put, this would be scalene, but it's also a right triangle. And then you can add distractors here, equilateral, isosceles, acute, and obtuse. And we'll show these side by side. So now they can pick as many of these as they want. And then hit check answer. And in this case, the correct answer was scalene and right. If they only select one of the answers, then it'll still mark it as wrong. And if they select both, it's correct. So that's a multiple selection question. Then we can look at another type of question. There's simple true and false and yes, no questions, which work basically the same way. You just pick true or false, and then it'll show those as two multiple choice, options, like this. And in this case, true will always appear first and false will always appear second, regardless of which one you pick as the correct answer. And the same thing is true for yes and no. You can also do drop down and fill in the blank using this. Fill in the blank works for doing sentences. So for example, you can do the sky is on the left here, and then the correct answer here, and then anything else after that, like punctuation. And then this will create a box for them to type in, like that. This is also an easy way to do in math expressions and have it all be in one line, whereas the numeric box from before, it breaks it into two separate lines. So you can do 3 plus 5 equals, and then put in the correct answer there. And this will create just all in one line like that. And then you can also do drop-down questions, which work essentially the same way as multiple choice, but instead of it appearing as multiple choice, it'll appear as a drop-down. Like that. And this randomizes the choices, as you can see. Although A happens to be the first choice both of those times. But see here, it's the fourth choice. And I think that covers all of the basic answer types. There's also answer palette, which can be used to create fractions and things like that, which is a little more complicated. But you can type in a match here and it'll create a green box, and whatever is in the green box is what the student has to enter as the correct answer. You can also type things outside of the green box. Oh, I should type that the other way. And this will create a box that'll pull up the same answer palette that you were just looking at. And then the student can type in 1/2. You might also want the student to be able to enter it as a decimal, as 0.5. And in that case, you can click inside the green box, click New Match, and then just type in 0.5 here. And now when you go to preview question, the student can enter 1/2 like before, or they can also just type in 0.5 or just 0.5. And so these answer palettes can be used for anything that isn't just a number, a letter, something that can't be typed in a keyboard, for example, the square roots, cubic roots, scientific notation, anything with exponents. And depending on the subject that you're teaching, you can change it to different types of answer palettes, which can be picked here under subject. And I think that covers, that covers all of the answer types outside of the multi-part, which I just covered briefly.
Okay, that's fantastic, Jonathan. I appreciate that. And did you stop recording?
No.